specifically in this case,
Yep.
we have two couples that we have noticed this in.
Well, I mean, we've noticed it more, but recently these
The
two,
ones that
yes.
we've had conversations
Yes.
with. One of them, the slave, was very anti being called a slave.
She was very... Are we talking about Barbie?
Yes.
Hi, Barbie. I know you're watching this. And hi, Aaron. We're talking about you. She was very anti-power exchange. Not just MS, but very
Power exchange.
Power exchange. She was very into, like, play focus, like, very laissez-faire, no structure.
Yes.
Which is very funny coming from Barbie.
Extremely funny coming from Barbie, the control freak. I call her the little control freak all the time. But what was funny for like going through, we've really gotten to know them pretty well over the last 6 months. I've known Aaron for a very long time.
So have I.
But,
yeah. But not in this capacity.
Yes, not in this capacity and not in like this type of relationship.
Yep.
And gotten to know Barbie pretty well over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Too. And several talks and conversations.
Barbie and I are little carbon copies of one
There
another.
are a lot of similarity. With her, it was her anti-ness about it was the expectations. It was not.
Well,
the
I think it was
specifically.
I think it was the removal of like freedom and personhood. It was the expectations that like a slave is seen and not heard.
Yes.
Right. Like we hear that.
Definitely not one of those people.
Well, we hear that constantly, and it's perpetuated a lot of the time.
Yes.
Like I think that.
And that a
less
slave
so
is
now.
always their master's piece.
I'm sorry. I can't lie that way.
No, you can't.
Buttoning up the shirt that made me uncomfortable.
But the stereotypes that we have put into MS is what was keeping her from it.
Yes.
And what I've always defined slavery as the most dominant people that can run fucking everything. They just can't run themselves.
For the most part.
Because that's what I want in a slave.
Yes.
Right? That's also my experience as a slave. I could fucking do anything. Don't tell me how to fucking do it. But I'll figure it out. If you want it done a certain way, you better tell me, but don't micromanage me. Just say, hey, I want this done. Cool, I'm going to go do it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that was the biggest thing. And then, like, whenever it came to myself, like, I'm a great giver of advice. I don't take my own.
I know that.
That was that idea. Sometimes that's still accurate. But it's that same idea. Sometimes it's still accurate. I am way better than I was those years ago. So, way better.
Sure, but we should always be striving to be better, sir.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Continuously. I at least know that I'm doing that, though.
Fair. Okay, fair. Awareness is number one.
Yes.
Admitting you have a problem is the first step to solving a problem.
Exactly. And on the master side, the thing that I struggled with, I didn't really call myself a master and own that before running. I'm very comfortable with Sir, but it took me several years to be.
So that still
with
took
Sir.
you a long time.
Because I kind of default to my military days. If I was enlisted, I worked for a living, like that type of situation. And also, Sir is my father. Like, no, don't call me that. But like being called that as an honorific was always kind of weird.
Yeah. I know. You didn't want me to call you that for the longest time. You had lots of other things that you were fine with being called, including Mr.
Yeah, Master was fine.
Now it's Mr. Master.
Yes, it's Mr. Master Husband.
Yes, it's Mr. Specifically, the full honorific is Mr. Master Husband.
Yes.
And he knows that is definitely something that I say when I really, really want something.
Yes, it is. It's kind of cute. But Master was also a struggle for me.
Yeah.
Because I have those same stereotypes in my head. One of the things that we're often told about masters, before you could ever be a master, you must master yourself before you can master another.
So what you're saying is there is no such thing as a master, because I don't know anyone in the world that has done
mastered
that.
themselves. In
don't
that
even think,
regard,
like-
by that definition, absolutely.
I don't even think like Gandhi has done that.
No, correct.
Or did that.
Is he closer on the path than I am? Absolutely.
Depends on how you define master
for
yourself.
them, yes.
Yeah.
The other aspect, like the way that I always take it, the definition of a master that I actually appreciate is a master has tried more times than the apprentice the master has failed more times than the apprentice has tried. I have done that.
Fair.
I am a. Sometimes it feels the only thing that I've mastered is the art of failure. That is something that I have tried multiple different things, right? It's that aspect.
Yeah.
There's also the aspect of typically whenever you see masters, and we're saying stereotypically here, there are plenty of masters that once you get them alone and actually get to know them, they're not this way. But at least from a distance, they're very stoic, they're very straight-faced, very like the commanding guy in the corner. That's about it, right? That's not me. I'm not that way.
You have the capacity to be that way.
I do have the capacity to be that way.
But you're not regularly that way.
No. I am a very animated person. So it doesn't look that way. And so for me, mastery does not look that way.
For me, slavery doesn't look that way either, because typically slaves are, we have these sort of assumptions, or not assumptions, we have these words like protocol, right? We have like high protocol, low protocol, medium protocol, and that like identifies where you are and what space you're in and how you show up in that space and that expectations of that space. We have a lot of things in the community when we are out and about with one another at these conventions, where we mostly hang out with people that we don't see on a regular basis, that the slave is normally in like high to medium protocol.
Yes.
They don't speak for the most part without being spoken to, and they specifically are spoken to by their top, not like people in the external circle. They don't really look at people. They might be dressed a certain way or be on speaking restrictions.
They're generally behind and to the left.
Yeah.
They're
inaccessible.
Yeah, they're inaccessible. They're also
which
seen,
is not
not heard.
Which is not a bad thing.
No.
But it does create a certain
misconception,
picture and misconception around a slave showing up and like a bottom or a brat or whatever showing up.
Yeah.
And like, if that's how you want to live your life, that's perfectly fine.
If it works for you, go for it.
There are absolutely times that I will put myself into like a high protocol forced I'm in speaking restriction space because I just don't have the spoons to interact with people that day.
Yeah. They're even oftentimes on like touch restrictions as well.
That was the other thing I was thinking in my brain that didn't make it to my mouth. Yeah.
The whole asking to hug. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that I do that anyways, like regardless if I know that you're in protocol.
That's a consent.
Just like a consent thing, especially like post-pandemic.
Yeah. That's
or like pre-pandemic. Yeah.
And also there's a lot of people who just have sensory issue type situation. You're sometimes that way where like, I'm just not in the touch right now.
It's like, I can feel my own skin. I don't want to feel yours.
But that was a I do that still sometimes depending on the master that I'm speaking with. To the master and slave.
I think that I always default to that if I do not know the rules.
There. I default to the master there. I'm like, do you mind if I hug her?
Yeah.
Or hug them?
If I don't know the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I know the rules or I know the person, yeah.
Speaking of that protocol, we just had this situation happen in a different form. Somebody from Canada that is in an MS relationship who we have never met.
Oh, yeah.
Added us on FetLife.
Yeah, they sent us a friend request. So I, on my FetLife, specifically have a note in my bio. Yeah. Well, yes, but I specifically have in my bio, I only accept friend requests from people that I have met.
Yes.
Because, like, there are enough creepy weirdos on FetLife. If you are someone that is a femme-presenting human or have the word slave or bottom messages. Or whatever, you're going to get weird messages, and it's a whole, like, spoon drain to just log on.
Yeah.
But apparently they had sent me a friend request, and I didn't see this.
Correct.
And so they sent him a message and actually apologized.
Yes. They said, I did not see that. Also,
We haven't met.
And so
in the traditional
apologize.
sense,
And sorry I didn't send you a message before I requested to be a friend with you. I replied to him like, we know who you are.
We know of you.
We know of you. We haven't met you. We assume that we'll actually get to meet you. That rule is in place for what you just talked about.
That rule is in place for the creepy weirdos.
The creepy weirdos. And your apology is.
Yeah.
I thank you for that. Feel free to re-add her.
Yeah.
So that worked. But that's an example of those protocols that are kind of expected in MS relationships. That is one of those things that kind of happens a whole lot. It's one of those pillars of protocols.
Honestly, if like I come up to you and I'm like, this person wants to play with me and they need to talk to you, it's like a big red flag of like, I don't want to play with this person.
Well, that's our inner working protocol.
Yes.
That's our inner working protocol.
Yes. It's not it is never a requirement for you to talk to him. I will respect you more if you do. Just like if you want to do anything with him, I will respect you more if you address me on it.
Yeah.
Because like that's just like hey, I recognize that you are in each other's lives. I recognize that you are in a dynamic. I recognize that I am not trying to break up that dynamic because like that's a big stupid that I've been through. And so like that's a trigger for me. So like, but like never get mad at someone because they don't know what your protocols are.
Yeah.